Because what do you mean? Go ask my pastor and my mama. Do you not believe that I can hear God for myself? Why would you want a woman who can't hear God for herself?
Is it really something, or is it really trusting? 'Cause I can back up all I do.
Hi, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Makia Janae, and I'm happy to have you back with me. If you don't know who I am, I'm Makia Janae, and I am a multidisciplinary artist and entrepreneur that has successfully blended my passions and platforms together to eliminate confusion because we be doing multiple things out here. And I help other multidisciplinary artists and entrepreneurs to do the same. But today, I am Makia Janae, the speaker, and I want to reveal to you the power that you have over your own peace, your own happiness, your own life. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, however, if you are ready to stay locked in and in alignment with where you are, who you are, and where you are going, then you need to subscribe. You need to subscribe. You need to turn the notification bell on so you'll know when I pop up on this feed, when I post something. Yeah, you need to do that. And don't hesitate. Do it now. I mean, only if you want to. With that being said, welcome to the 10-week series, 10 Ways to Take Care of Yourself while you are in these huge transitions, a spiritual transition specifically. That's what I'm going to talk about today. A framework that is structured by the 10 self-care tips by me, extracted, it's a lot of words, extracted from my ebook, I'm No Superhuman, the moment I truly expressed what was hurting me. For 9 years, I was in this situationship with this guy, and I was so comfortable with this toxic cycle that we had that it kept me from communicating what was really going on with me. It led him to believe that the way he was treating me was competent, and it wasn't. Until one day he said something that struck me to my core. And in that moment, I didn't care about making him feel like he was king of the world by avoiding confrontation. I didn't even desire to make him feel less than. The only thing I wanted in that moment was to be heard and clearly. And as a result, I was able to communicate what was really going on with me effectively. If you are tired of being in a toxic romantic cycle, tired of having the same arguments with your romantic partner when you could be communicating effectively, then this ebook is for you. And it's for you because it will show you how to articulate your emotions in a way that positions you to be heard, empowered, and to make a decision if necessary. Now, at the end of this ebook, you will find the 10 self care tips, which is actually the framework for this whole series. But today, I am going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is click the link in the description to download the free PDF. If you want to go even deeper, I am offering a I'm No Superhuman companion package called No Cape Required. Whether you are feeling overwhelmed, in transition, or just simply need someone to hold space for your truth, this session is meant to help you reset mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And after all of it is over, 72 hours later, I will create a personalized, customized voice memo just for you for when things get tough. Everything that I just mentioned, the 10 self care tips that you can download for free, the ebook, the one on one session, you can find all the links in the description below. Last week, we talked about self care tip number 1, accept people for who they are. But this week, we are talking about why you should set boundaries with yourself. Are you ready, y'all? If you are living in the same world that I am living in, then you have heard multiple people say, I'm sure you probably heard yourself say, I am setting boundaries. I am no longer entertaining things that don't serve me because this, because that, because I am the best and I don't need that energy. All of that. In human relations, we can describe a boundary as an imaginary line or barrier that limits an area. Just think of something that you want to protect. Got it? But when it comes to protecting things, we're usually referring to setting a boundary with other people. We aren't necessarily thinking about setting boundaries with ourselves. But no worries, today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should. Let's start with the area that you have been or trying to protect. You may deem this area as sacred, vulnerable, special, pure, untainted. This area might even be triggering, explosive, life threatening, because I might slap up. Areas that create huge impact, good and bad. This area I am referring to, all of the above that I am referring to, is you. You are made up of a lot of things: the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the excellent. And now you are left with the effects of each experience. And it's not enough to just protect you anymore. You have to manage you and set boundaries with yourself in order to live the best life possible. Reason number 1, you should set boundaries with yourself. You should set boundaries with yourself because you are the only person to have unlimited access to you, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Sure, other people can access these parts of you by the way of influence, but at any given time, you can restrict that access. But you have to apply the same standard with yourself. The reason you are feeling overwhelmed is because you lack boundaries with your thoughts, feelings, emotions, perceptions, theologies, and you do not know where these mediums belong. But I ain't here to judge. I ain't here to judge nobody. I'm here to actually expose my own pea sheets. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up the analogy of a pea sheet. People hanging out other people's pea sheets, exposing other people's business. Like, no, I'm here to show you my own. Let me show you what I got going on. I actually had a pee accident as an adult, maybe like 2, 3 years ago in my sleep, but that is neither here nor there. Codependency, which is the excessive emotional, psychological reliance on another, that is my area. That's the triggering area that I have to constantly manage and set boundaries for. Let's give an example. Remember last week, I told you all the story about when God really increased my level of discernment. If you weren't here for the story, I'm going to insert a clip right here. Smell back that was driving me crazy that I couldn't smell anything. Fast forward to the top of 2021. I went to stay with my best friend, and my other best friend came to stay as well, and we went to a dance class. We had a great time at this dance class. We had a good time. But the instructor, I wasn't a fan of, and I didn't know her. It was my first time experiencing one of her classes, but for some reason she rubbed me the wrong way, and there was nothing in plain sight to prove why I felt this way. When we got back to my friend's house, I told them, I was like, I don't like her. I was like, her energy is off. I said, I don't believe she's really a girl's girl. He was like, you tripping. I was like, you know what? I think I am tripping. Maybe I'm jealous. Maybe I'm jealous. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to being the center of attention, and now like the attention wasn't on me. Maybe it's because I'm a small town girl and now I'm in like the Queen City, Charlotte, and I don't know how to share the spotlight. I'm like, Lord, I need to do some inner work. A few weeks later, my best friend, she joined this girl's dance group. She proceeded to tell me that in the dance group that she was talking down on people. She was calling people names. She was calling people to help. She was belittling people. And the first thing my best friend said was, you were right. And I was like, oh my God. Because this was a new experience for me. I was experiencing a new level of discernment because I was in a moment of uncertainty. It triggered overwhelming emotions, a level of codependency that led me to ask people about something that they had no knowledge of. They didn't know how to help me. They didn't know how to assist me. And it left me feeling uncertain even more so. The boundary here would have been or should have been me telling myself, hey, Micaiah, sit still. Allow God to show you and reveal to you where you are in this moment in time. But I didn't. I was anxious. I was afraid. I was scared. I was confused. I didn't know what to do with this feeling. I am a person who little goody miss two shoe, if you will, and I always like to do things the right way. And I'm like, I can't believe that I am jealous of someone. This led me to seek outside help for something that was going on with me internally, and not setting boundaries with myself led me to call myself jealous, which leads me to point number two. Reason number two you should set boundaries with yourself is because it prevents self sabotage. Now, according to Google AI, I'm gonna read off my notes. According to Google AI, make sure you AI like razzle dazzle, honey. We done leveled up. It's not just Google anymore. Google AI. Self sabotage can be defined as when someone engages in behaviors that undermines their own goals and happiness. It can manifest in various forms like procrastination, perfectionism, or negative self talk, and often stems from underlying issues like low self esteem or fear of failure. In this case, my goal was clarity. Where am I? Somebody tell me, where am I and what is going on with me? But instead, I called myself jealous. I said, maybe it's jealousy. I needed an instant solution to the problem. I needed an instant solution to the uncertainty. I was being codependent, and God quickly showed me myself in the situation. See, the beauty of having unlimited access to your own life is that at any given time, you could go back to your own life's library to study about you to make a difference. Amen. Hallelujah. There is a way. What am I talking about? I'm talking about reflection and self awareness. Self awareness of who you are, where you've been, and where you are going. Let's talk about where I've been. I grew up in the church. I am about to be 31 years old. I'm recording this at 30, but I'll be 31 by the time y'all see this. Happy birthday to me, June 26, 1994. An angel was born, a star, all of the above. But I grew up in the church, born and raised. I didn't realize how codependent I was on spiritual leaders or the spiritual elders in the church to tell me what God was saying. Now, of course, when you're younger, you need that direction, you need that guide, but I wasn't fully aware that it flowed into adulthood the way that it did, and that many people were experiencing this other than me. This is when I realized it in 2020, when the church would not move forward the way that it normally would, or it would halt for a moment in regular routine, church routine and religious routine. It shook a lot of people, including myself, because what do I do now? Where do I go now? Am I going to hell? During the shutdown, there were so many voices coming to me, and I felt as though that I was doing something wrong because I was home, even though everybody was home. It felt as though God was not pleased. It felt as though something was wrong, something was going on. But somewhere, and it was at the beginning of the pandemic, some point in time, I realized like God is beyond these four walls, and He is shaking up our religious tree, as Pastor Darius says. Mind you, this is the point in time where my smell is taken away. So my senses are like through the roof, and I am confused to all the things that I am sensing, feeling, transitioning into. When it was time to go back to church, I had no peace. And not because anybody had did anything to me, said anything to me, did anything out the way. I just had no rest while I was there. I would see people from church and they'll ask like, "Oh, when you coming back to church?" Or, get a text. Not too many texts, but when I did see them in public, they would ask when you're coming back, or when I did come back, it was like, God needs you here. And I'm just like, I feel like I am rebelling. I feel that I'm not doing the right thing. And that feeling in itself, I knew was wrong. So while I am experiencing these thoughts, I'm like, these thoughts don't even feel right. These thoughts don't feel in alignment with God, with what God really believes about me, which is that I have to be in these four walls to have a relationship with Him. And like I said, nobody said anything out the way to me, not from church, my church. No one said anything out the way to me to make me leave or not attend anymore. It was just where God had me at that moment in time, even now. Like the time is still now. This is an example of me setting a boundary with myself. And because of self awareness, because I went into my own life's library and realized where I came from, and God allowed me that space and time to be away from the church, I was able to set a boundary with myself that eventually prevented self sabotage. Because when you have an understanding of who you are, where you've been, and where you are going, it's easier to do so. I didn't realize that I wanted to constantly, or how much I was constantly leaning on. Now, mind you, this is 5 years ago. I'm 30, technically 31. So 5 years ago, I was 26. This is a very interesting age because your frontal lobe cortex, whatever they call it, is starting to form then. So it makes sense that I would be experiencing this transition during that time. And I cried. There were moments that I cried. I remember my 26th birthday, everything just I felt like I had no backing. I felt that I had no support. I felt that what I was previously leaning on had left me, including the routine of competing for Miss South Carolina every single year from 18 until that time, and sometime after that. But during that year, there was no Miss South Carolina pageant. I had aged out. It just felt different not having my dream or the goal of my dream to reach there. What do I what do I do? What goal or dream do I reach for now? I aged out. They're not having a pageant this year. What do I aim for now? What do I strive for now? I'm not in church. Who do I listen to now to hear God? I'm going through this transition with this guy that I'm dealing with, the 9 year relationship. It's like, who do I love now? Where do I go? And my smell is gone during this time. And I didn't realize that God in that time was really building my spiritual backbone. He like, girl, get a backbone. What he was doing was strengthening my spiritual spine. Please, because I am an individual who is so self-aware, so self-alert, he used this gift of mine during this time to help me pay attention to what was really going on with me and in me. He allowed all of this support to be removed from me so I could pay attention to what I was depending on and how it was all sinking sand. It wasn't enough for me to become who he had or who he was calling me to be. He allowed self awareness to show me my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions about where I've been and why I am experiencing these thoughts, these feelings, and these emotions. He allowed me to experience my own self. Wow, that is not in my notes. He allowed me to experience my own self outside of who the world wanted me to be, outside of a relationship, outside of my dreams and goals, outside of this religious setting of church. He allowed me to experience myself with him, and that allowed me to set a boundary where I could prevent self sabotage. Reason number 3 you should set boundaries with yourself is because it helps you to set boundaries with others. It reinforces that everybody has a limit. Everybody. If you have a limit for yourself, other people have a limit. If you're the person who has to constantly manage you and set boundaries for you because you have all this unlimited access to all these portals of your life, then guess what? Other people have to have boundaries set as well. I'll never forget the moment when I realized that what God said is not really what God said. There was this guy who I grew up with in church, knew him for a very, 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 very long time. And I knew he was interested in your girl. I knew he liked me. There were a couple of events that we did together. It was cool. It was respectful. He's not a bad person at all, y'all, at all. One day he wanted to have a conversation, called him up on the phone, and he proceeded to say that God told him that he should pursue me as his wife. Okay. So I allowed him to express his convictions. I allowed him to say everything that he needed to say with no interruptions. By the end of his monologue, I said, I do not believe that is what God is telling. I don't, yeah, no. He was like, are you sure? He was like, maybe you need to ask your mama or your pastor. And my mom's a respected elder. Okay. She is a respected elder. And he suggested that I go ask my mom or my pastor for spiritual clarity. Like, you probably ain't hearing correctly. You're not hearing right. You probably not. So how about go ask your mama, somebody who I respect as an elder, who I respect as a spiritual leader. Go ask your pastor, your leader. Go ask him. And it was in that moment I realized that not only I was spiritually codependent, but majority of the church is spiritually codependent on other individuals, trusted spiritual individuals, and not God. Because what do you mean? Go ask my pastor and my mama. Do you not believe that I can hear God for myself? Why would you want a woman who can't hear God for herself? Like I said, y'all, he's a great guy. He's awesome. However, in that moment in time, this was when I was presented with the opportunity or the challenge to stand up or to exercise my spiritual spine, my spiritual backbone. And like I said, he gets a lot of grace from me because we grew up in the same environment, in the same conditions. However, if I have to tell myself no when it comes to these false theologies and beliefs, then guess what? I'm telling you no. If I have to say, Makia, you can hear God for yourself, then guess what? I'm telling you, hey, I can hear God for myself. And I was very offended. He apologized. He was generous with just telling me he's sorry. And I accepted that apology because, I mean, we all be trying to figure this thing called life out and we all get in our own way sometimes. And that's totally fine. But my point is, when you are in spiritual transition, you have to be very careful who you allow to have access to you and how you distribute this access. Setting boundaries with yourself teaches other people how to respect you. Period. Point blank, period. If God didn't take me through what he took me through and didn't allow me to go through that moment of uncertainty to experience myself with him, then I still would have been like, oh, well, maybe God did say that I'm your wife? Do you know how many guys have told me, even after him, that I was their wife, that God told them that I was their wife? Do you eat, like, let me pull out my own pee sheet again. Do you know how many times I thought a guy was my husband? Actually, I'm lying. I'm lying. I thought that twice, maybe three. I don't know, but I didn't project it on maybe once. I don't know, but the point is, when I realized that this was an issue, when I realized that this was a no-no, and I set a boundary with myself, I had to set it with other people. No, I can hear God. I had to tell myself, my kid, you can hear God. Situation presented itself. No, sir. I don't need my mom. I don't need my pastor. I can hear God. And you shouldn't want a woman who can't hear God for herself. Point blank, period. So let's recap. I'm going to my notes. Reason number one, you should set boundaries with yourself is because you're the only person who has unlimited access to you. Everything you are exposed to about yourself can be overwhelming. So just think of a gym. Think of a gym and how you may purchase an unlimited pass. You have access to all the equipment in this big old gym. How much of that equipment do you use? And if you try to use all of it in one day, guess what? You're going to hurt yourself, which means every part of you, every portal of you does not need to be accessed at all times. You have to know and when and where to allow certain thoughts, feelings, and emotions to be exposed or be expressed. You got to have a limit. You got to have a boundary. Reason number two, setting boundaries with self presents self sabotage. Self awareness acknowledges who you are, where you've been, and where you are going, helping you to create boundaries and prevent self sabotage. Think of an opportunity that you want, but you have like these negative thoughts, right? So you have so many negative thoughts that you're not even applying for the job. You have so many negative thoughts that you aren't even allowing yourself to go after what you say you want. I will never forget the moment when this guy kind of had me like shook up. I'm giving y'all examples today where this guy kind of had me like shook up because I had really, really liked him. And I didn't have the confidence to allow him to pursue me. He offered, he was like, hey, the next time you in town, hit me up. And I'm just like, oh no, he got plenty of, I didn't say the word, I mouthed it. And I'm like, oh no, like I can't do that. When I realized like my confidence wasn't where it needed to be, I'm like, what? And I'm so glad he didn't move forward with my application. I'm so glad he didn't, continue to pursue me because my confidence just wasn't where it needed to be. It's okay to have those feelings. Like you're going to have these thoughts, feelings, and emotions because, like I said, you're navigating everything that you've experienced and the effects of everything that you've experienced. But you got to tell them no. You have to say no. This is not what we're thinking. This is not what we're feeling. We are going to move forward. Reason number three, setting boundaries with yourself helps you to confidently set boundaries with other people and teaches them how to respect you. Just think about your mental health. That 9-year situationship that I was telling you about, that's discussed in the I'm No Superhuman ebook, and how I had to say to myself, my Kia, we are being neglected. We are being negligent by allowing or by being aware of what's going on with you and not saying anything about it. We are not here to protect the ego. We are not here to make him feel less than. We are here to be heard and heard clearly. And I can't wait for y'all to see what that question was that he asked me. And I love him to death. Like he's hella cool. Like I have no problem, no beef. Like we're not together or anything like that. But this question that he asked me was crazy. If you want to know what that question is, download or purchase the ebook, download the free self-care tips so that you can stay ahead of the game of what we're going to be talking about in the next 8 weeks, because this is week 2. And if you want that one-on-one session with me, if you're like my kid, I need something a little bit more. I will hold space for you. I truly, truly will. And after we have that 60-minute session, then I will create a personalized, customized voice memo for you to have with you always to listen to help you get through, child. Because listen, we all trying to make it. We all are fighting for our lives, honey. But it has been an honor. This has been an honor. All the information is in the description. The free PDF to the 10 self-care tips, the link to the ebook, the link to the one-on-one session, the no cape required reset sessions. This has been amazing. Thank you all for giving me your time and energy and attention. It's not taken for granted. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn your notifications on, because next week, oh Lord, hold on. What are we talking about next week? Hold on. Okay, I got it. Next week, we are talking about accepting and receiving who you are positively evolving into. Realizing that you are that girl, that you are that guy for sure. I can't wait to boost y'all up and gas y'all up. Thank y'all so much for holding space for me and for giving me the time and energy and watching this video. Make sure you share this video, comment, leave a comment. What are you feeling about everything that I said? I don't like, if you don't agree with everything that I said, I don't mind. I would love to hear your perspective. Make sure you save the video for later if you want to watch it later on in life. Subscribe, of course, I already said that. Make sure you turn on the notification bell, and I'll catch you next Sunday at 6 p.m. for the next video of this 10-week series, 10 ways that you could take care of yourself while in spiritual transition. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week.